beautiful Saturday it is. Much obliged to have you join me for today's edition of the program Politics Today on independent television and radio. Every Saturday at this time and on these platforms we talk politics. Today is not an exception. But just a little distraction from that, Benin City is agog right now, and that's because of the celebration of the second year anniversary of the coronation of our highly revered monarch, Omonobanendo Ukwakbolokpolo Oba Ewa II, the Oba of Benin. I mean, the King Square area has been cordoned off just because of the activities that will be taking place there today. Big congratulations, big congratulations. I'm sure later on in our news broadcast you'll see the highlights of that great event, the anniversary itself, and then there is also a red book written in honor of the Oba of Benin, the anthology of the history of Benin Kingdom. I'm sure that's a must read, I must tell you that. Okay, today on the show we zero in on the Executive Order number 6. Following a court judgment on it, the executive, that is the presidency, has gone ahead to put that to force. We saw that one major action point was the names of 50 eminent Nigerians that have been banned from traveling abroad. But as expected, it has attracted a lot of reactions. Today on the program, we're asking the question, what is the Executive Order number 6 all about? What is the expected impact on the fight against corruption? Is this obtainable in other climes in civilized democracy? If it is it applaudable here? Is it applicable here? So many questions that we'll be asking today. But let's quickly welcome our panelists. I'd like to thank very specially the erudite Barrister A.B. Thomas. Many thanks for joining us on the program.
Good morning to viewers at home.
We also have joining us on the program is a bishop, but is also a member of the civil society organization. I'd like to thank very specially Bishop Osadolo Oche. Many thanks for joining us on the program.
Thank you, Sonny Duke. God bless you. God bless you, listeners at home.
Let me start with the erudite Barrister A.B. Thomas. The Executive Order number 6 first muted, and when the intention was made, it was challenged in court. Now the court has ruled that the president is in order, in line with what the Constitution says. What is this whole gamut of executive order? What is he about? What do we know about it?
Without wasting much time, if you look at the Constitution of Nigeria, particularly with reference to budgeting, the Constitution made provision for the executive arm of the government to keep on running for a period of time within which the legislature must pass the budget. If the budget is not passed, say by January, the Constitution allows the executive, whether state, local government, or federal, to continue to run on what some people have now called anticipated budget, provided it does not exceed what was spent in the last quarter. So it becomes an executive order to allow the executive to be able to carry out certain things because of the failure of certain, or failure or inaction of another arm of government. The executive order was first put into place by Obasanjo in his first term in office, and that was as a result of this background I've given to you, of inability for the budget to be passed on time. Executive order is available in America, and American presidents seldom use it because they know it encroaches on the fundamental human rights of citizens of that country. So they limit it to to finance of budget alone. But when Trump came, Trump has not been behaving like an executive president. Rather, he has been behaving like an autocratic president. And the introduction of executive orders in Nigeria now is not the way Obasanjo was using it to finance projects. Now it is being used to fight corruption. Therein lies the danger. Because in every military coup in Africa, the military coup suspends the legislature. It removes the executive. It never tampers with the judiciary. With the federal government or the president's executive orders now, he is indirectly usurping the functions of the judiciary.
Okay, I will pause you there.
And that you find a judgment coming.
Yeah.
And luckily for us,
Yeah.
you see, not two persons, not even two of you, two of us, or three of us here, can look at the same thing legally from the same point. Hence, there is hierarchy of courts.
Okay.
And now, people who never wanted to go on appeal, when the judgment was delivered, only to wake up the following morning, 50 persons banned from going abroad. They say, this is decree number 4 of 1984. We are going on appeal. So the case is now on appeal.
Okay, thank you very much, Barrister Epithomos, for that background that you just gave into the focus of our discussion on the program today. Bishop Osadolo Oche, when Barrister Epithomos talked about, perceiving a challenge with Executive Order number 6 in the fight against corruption, he said, there lies the real issue. You nodded as if to say, yes, you just spoke my mind. Can we get more thoughts along those lines from you?
First, before I will respond to your question, I want to congratulate my own royal father, our own father, the Oba of Benin Kingdom, for his 2nd year anniversary as His Royal Majesty in Benin Kingdom and the whole world. And the ceremony that is ongoing today.
Yeah.
I want to congratulate him and I wish him well. His reign has brought peace, development to Benin Kingdom, particularly in the areas of so-called CDA that he has been able to help us
To abolish.
that people can now buy or pay for land and ensure that it's their property. God will continue to guide you, protect you, increase you in knowledge and understanding and wisdom, that this kingdom that God has bestowed unto you to be our Father, you will not see shame. In the name of Jesus Christ. Amen. You will grow old and grow older than your father in the reign.
Amen.
God bless you. And the question, sir.
Yeah.
My very good brother, lawyer, has said, is a replica of decree number 4. One, the Constitution is very clear as to who has the authority to make law. And if there is anything called an executive order, it is expected that such orders should be passed to the National Assembly to look into, and if there is merit on it, they should pass it into an act or a law, which should be assented to by the executive president. But now he has now said, listed so many things, the reason why people who has over 50 million naira property, whether in Nigeria or anywhere, should be tried or the property should be forfeited. And I wonder who is that Nigerian person that has no 50 million naira property, whether in government or in business. So which means every Nigerian should be sent to prison But that executive order says.
It can't be every Nigerian.
Because
the executive order clearly stated
you
those
say
who
anyone that has a property that worth over 50 million and above.
Do you have a property worth over 50 million naira and above?
As poor as I am, I have.
Listen, sir.
So it's not every Nigerian.
Wait, listen.
That's what I want us to establish.
No, he is telling you.
He said every Nigerian. It's not every Nigerian.
The broad meaning.
Yes. Even in the
to a large extent.
Yes.
I am a pastor. Our church, if you put it together, are you saying everything in that church is just 50 million?
Okay.
I have a house. You put my house to join it. Are you saying that is 50 million? That's why I say almost every Nigerian, if not all Nigerians. So there is error and there is a decree, not a law, not executive order. It should not bring us back to the dark age of 1984-85.
Okay.
We are in democracy where there is rule of law, human dignity, respect to human rights.
But he's also follow the law. That's why he went to court.
Fine. In giving judgment,
there was an appeal.
No, the judgment
there's an appeal now.
Yes, the judgment they gave was that whether he has right to issue an executive order.
So
he has right.
So it's constitutional.
He has right. But in attempt to issue the executive order, he has not gone to infringe on the right of Nigerians. That's where
that is where the point is.
That's the problem. That's the problem.
You see, you may have a right. So the Duke has a right to drive along the road.
Yes.
Recognized. But you have no right to drive on the left. You may have a right, but in exercising that right, if you exercise it in a way that it will harm another person, it becomes unconstitutional. I can tell you, I told in this program here, when we're talking of national security and rule of law.
National interest.
National interest and rule of law. I came with books. The man who advised the president wrongly, who did the case, I mentioned his name. The Supreme Court judgment, I brought it here. The Constitution, I brought it here. I brought everything. Now, if you have a right to make executive order, and in implementing that executive order, you infringe on fundamental chapters of the Constitution, like chapter 4. Freedom of association. That's one. Most importantly, freedom of movement. How do you tell me, as poor as I am, I'm not poor, but I have properties worth over 50 million naira. The only luck I have is that I've never worked for any government. I have never registered with any political party. Otherwise, they will put my name there and say I can't travel. When you, the president with 300 cows, you travel for medical treatment all the time. If you put those 300 cows together that the president has, it's more than 50 million. If you put his house in Daura, in addition, it's more than 50 million.
Okay.
Why not include his own name?
Okay, I will take a pause now, and we'll be back to continue with this discussion. One of our panelists just joined us, Dr. Felix Duswan, is joining us now to continue with this discussion. When we return, we'll look at this debate around the executive order, like you established, is intended to fight corruption. All right, we'll be back to talk more along those lines. Don't go away. Stay tuned. Many thanks again for joining me on the program Politics Today on independent television and radio. We look at the implications of the executive order number 6 in line with the fight against corruption. I was saying just before we took that break that the presidency has come out to say the major reason for this executive order number 6 is to fight corruption. And we know that corruption has been a major problem in this country. Just before I get the reactions, let me quickly welcome our two panelists. Dr. Felix Nicholas, many thanks for keeping a date with us on the program today.
Thank you for having me, sir.
We also have Barrister Ovesenyi Otame. Barrister Otame, many thanks for joining us on the program.
Thank you so much. Good day, viewers and listeners at home.
Okay, let me get yes, Barrister Abi Thomas. Yes.
Now,
if fight against corruption.
If the executive order number 6
yes.
is meant to fight
corruption.
And if the president now decides to say, under that executive order 6, so properties belonging to A, B, C, and Z should be confiscated, pending when investigations are completed or the trial is completed. Two issues arise legally. One, has this man been convicted that you would deprive him of his property, which is constitutionally guaranteed that every Nigerian shall have the right to own property anywhere in the country? That's the first issue. The second one is that by making that kind of order, you are usurping the jurisdictional powers of the courts. Because under the EFCC Act, there is a section of the EFCC Act that allows EFCC to approach a court for a temporary seizure of the property of a suspect who has been arraigned before the court.
So your major misgiving is that the executive order will tend to usurp the powers of the court.
That is what I'm saying.
Okay, let me pause you there. Barrister Ovesenyi Otame. The executive order is operational in a country like UK, particularly in the fight against corruption, where now we don't talk about sending man to jail because he's corrupt. The global practice in the fight against corruption is to recover the illegally gotten asset from the person involved. I'd like to get your thoughts along those lines.
First of all, I have a view that I hope Nigerians will understand, that the issue of executive order number 6 is actually a contention between the incumbent government and less than 5% population of Nigerians. In other words, for anybody under the investigation of EFCC on the property or asset worth 50 million naira being in contention or being a property to have been gotten as a result of proceeds from crime, such a person cannot be said to be an ordinary Nigerian, however you look at it. That being said, if injustice is practiced against that person, injustice is injustice, no matter against whom it is practiced. Okay. So we view it from that perspective. Okay. Now, the executive number 6, I said it here that the president had the powers, and that issuing of executive order in order to ensure that there is fight against corruption cannot be a negation of fundamental rights of citizens. Because if you are looting treasury of a nation, or you are participating in such acts of corruption, and there is an executive order to kind of control same, you cannot be said to have your rights being violated in respect of your right to ownership of property. That is my own take. But even at that, the content of the executive order, I agree with the submissions of my learned senior A.B. Thomas, that some of the provisions tend to bring an incursion, an inroad into judicial process, particularly in respect of matters already pending before court. Okay. To that extent, I agree. If a matter is already before court, the court should have control over seizure of such property, whether interim or permanent forfeiture. But for property under investigation, if there is an executive order, I feel that the hues and cries about it should be to what extent should it go? Should it go? Okay. What should be the time lag?
Okay, let me
investigation.
Let me push you there, Dr. Felix. I'd like to get your thoughts on the feelings that the executive order is to witch hunt political opponents. Do you subscribe to that?
Yes. First of all, it's obvious I'm sitting beside barristers and lawyers here, and so I'm going to come from a different angle. When I heard about the executive order, part of me was glad, because we've been calling these guys, especially the politicians, we've been calling them looters. That's a fancy name. They are not just looters, they are thieves. We should call them by what it is.
But you can't call all politicians thieves.
Majority those of politicians,
those of them that have been convicted, yes.
I don't trust any politician in Nigeria.
But you are a politician. I'm
a usual one. I'm not just a politician, I'm a nation builder. Okay. Majority of these politicians are thieves and armed robbers. So if the president issue an executive order that anyone with a property of over 50 million should go before the property should be confiscated, I agree with that. The only problem is, I'm afraid it's a political witch hunt. It's not going to be used to APC member. I would like to see the governor of Kano, whose video I'm sure you have seen, whose video we just saw, collecting $5 million. I would love to see Adams Oshomole go through that also. So that balances it. But if it only PDP members, I'm sorry, I'm not a member of APC, I've never been. I'm not a member of PDP, I've never been. But these two people, politicians from both sides, property should also be confiscated. But I'm sorry, you're not going to see that. This is a political winch hunt to kind of demoralize those guys in PDP, especially in the forthcoming election, so they will not be able to come out boldly. Because now, every one of them is scared. No one can come out boldly now and speak, because if you come out and speak and say things against the current administration, you will be rest assured that they are coming after you. But for people like me, I have nothing to hide. I could say they vote from PDP, vote from APC. Stop calling them looters. They are not looters. They are thieves.
No, just hold on. You know, we're on public television, and there are rules of engagement. You know, in accordance, your opinion is also supposed to be expressed in line with the law. You can't call somebody a thief or a looter until the person is convicted in a court of competent jurisdiction.
Convicted thieves is
yes.
from
Yes.
Mr. Moderator.
Yes.
That your statement now confirms my position.
Yes.
Your statement now
that
he can't call somebody a thief
or a looter until a court says so. So that's why you said the executive order negates the legal process. All right, Dr. Phyllis. Yes.
Can I say this?
Yes.
You can call them looters, but not thieves. Can you differentiate between a looter and a thief? It's a fancy name.
At what point does a person become a looter?
If a CCTV of a criminal is shown, that these guys just went into a bank and they just robbed, and now their pictures are all over the place looking for them, will you say, oh, they are not thieves until they are convicted?
They are suspects.
They are suspects, okay. Yes.
These thieves that are suspect politicians.
So suspect
in Nigeria who is fed up.
God.
Nigeria fed me growing up as a youth. We're just fed up of these guys. You get into office in less than 1 year. You that had nothing before you know it, you're flying a private jet, all this. Where did you get the money from? Okay. So I agree with the president. Go after them. They need to be a little shaking, because corruption has eaten to the fabric of this nation. Somebody needs to shake them. But
you should cut across board.
You should cut across.
I'll come to you. I'll come to you. I will come to you. I'll come to you. And we'll try as much as possible to play that on names here, because they are not here to respond to whatever we say. Yeah. Let me get Bishop Osadolo Oche.
Osadolo is pursuing one already.
Bishop Osadolo Oche. Let me get you. Let me get you.
You see.
Yeah.
You see, the truth of the matter is that we must be sincere to what we are doing.
Okay.
What is lacking in Nigerian project is sincerity. I don't know, I've been asking God a question. Is there any demon in Nigerian office that a good man will always enter there and turn a bad man? That your very good friends will enter an office. A man you were eating, dining, whining, visiting, calling every 2 seconds will no longer pick your calls. What is wrong with us when we occupy positions? What is wrong with us when we become member of a political party? We have a party card. We no longer agree with truth and facts. no matter how we bring a document here that this is white, you will only ask somebody, are you sure? You are saying it too, just because you are remembering your paymaster at home. If my paymaster now know that I agree that this paper is white, they will remove me from office. They will do me this, they will do me that. If they remove all of us from office, who will do the job? Can't we abandon this office for them so that they will carry and give it to their children alone? Because I'm being pained each time I look at what is happening to the Nigerian people, particularly the future of our children.
That's what Dr. Felix made reference to a while ago.
I started working as a young man at the age of 18. My first salary as a civil servant was 44 naira. I can't finish 10 naira in a month. Wow. My rent, my feeding. Wow. I live in Iyekoriomo, in Ure, where I was, to come to Benin every Friday or Saturday and go back Sunday. I pay transport.
It was just enough for you to take care of yourself. And
under 10 naira. 10 naira. My bank then was New Nigerian Bank, Agbo. As they pay me my salary, they pay 2 times in a month. I take my money to go and put in the bank.
Okay, let me
so
just
today, what is wrong with the system? Like the looters and the thief, my brother is trying to
the suspected looters.
So the suspected looters and suspected thieves. So if that is the suspected and alleged thief, alleged looters, we should just come back to our conscience.
Let me get by the time
we should allow our conscience to judge us.
I want you to respond to this. The laws, the enabling laws for the institutions fighting against corruption to function has already empowered, for example, the EFCC, like Mr. Ibi Thomas mentioned, to go before a court of competent jurisdiction to seek an order to temporarily confiscate the property as the case may be. So what's the rush with this executive order? What's the use of this executive order when you already have institutions enabled by the law to do this?
Very well. That is why I said that some aspects of the law, of the executive order number 6, which is a delegated legislation, okay, may not be intertwined with the realities of the doctrine of the rule of law. But it is simple. If there is a delegated legislation that is in conflict with the Act of the National Assembly, then it becomes void. You look at it. Is it that a provision in the executive order giving an alternative negates the real legislative act itself, the EFCC law or the EFCC Act, or the ICPC Act? In other words, you may choose to do this or you choose to do that. But once there is a negation, then it becomes voidable at the instance of any applicant, because we are talking of public interest litigation in that regard. The only problem I think I have with that law, with that executive order, like I have said before, creating inroad for judicial process, and again, giving so much powers to the Attorney General. In fact, our colleagues that went to court, to me, they missed the track, because they were challenging the powers of the president to issue an executive order. And that was why the action failed. But the judge, Justice Ojukwu, in her own remark, said, watch the powers you have donated to the Attorney General. Because the Attorney General, by virtue of that executive order, can issue a forfeiture, another can direct that the asset be forfeited or approach the court for an order of forfeiture when a property is suspected to be emanating from the proceeds of such corrupt act and so on. As far as I am concerned, that order was donating the powers of an investigator general to the Attorney General, rather than the powers of an attorney general as it ought to be, because the attorney general is the chief law officer. Okay. But it is not the chief investigating officer. Okay. So these are the salient points
that we need to examine.
But to say that somebody who is being investigated on corruption, his property should not be temporarily held. Yes. I don't agree with that.
Okay. By Thomas,
Yes, you see, I keep on saying this. I told you at the beginning, not two persons
have the same perspectives on
one issue.
Yeah.
And it is worse with lawyers. Because when two lawyers are talking about is, to the two of them, it means two different things. As simple as the word is. Now, my learned friend is giving so many definitions, perspective, this, that. Any problem here, we are in Africa. We are supposed to be third world, but now going to the 16th world. Now, if the Constitution has already been used by National Assembly to establish EFCC, and EFCC has the powers to approach the court, and the court has a procedure under the rule of law to grant an interim forfeiture of a property. And before the court will grant a permanent forfeiture, the court will have to follow the rule of law by asking that the other person who owns the property should come to court to defend that interim forfeiture. That is how Fayose was able to go to court to say, you cannot forfeit my property because I got the property this way, that way. And the court at the end listened to EFCC, listened to Fayose, and said, Fayose, take the property. But the president's own executive order 6, which I am saying, and I'm still saying it, and call me next tomorrow, call me 10 years time, the Court of Appeal and the Supreme Court will knock it down. Because it is a direct affront on the courts. And when it's a direct affront on the courts, then the court will strike it down. So, now, let me tell you this. Why is this executive order 6 coming up at the twilight of election? My friend, the doctor here said, is to frighten people.
Frighten opponents.
Opponents. That is exactly what it is all about. Now, if President Buhari, for instance, is to win next year's election, can you tell this nation what he will now do with Executive Order 8 when he knows he has no other tenure to ask for? Then they can even come and carry you and separate you and your wife. Because
by Sahebi Thomas, you're going too far. You're taking it too far by Sahebi Thomas.
No. What I'm trying to say is that
taking it too far.
The courts should be allowed. The problem with Nigeria in the fight against corruption is that we don't allow the institutions we have created to perform their duties. We interfere with the performance of their duties. By such interferences, we weaken the institutions.
Let me get Dr. Felix's thoughts on that.
Now, first of all,
yes, that will weaken the institution, particularly judicial processes in the fight against corruption.
We may dislike, the president, but I respect the office.
No, I mean, I never said so.
No, I'm not talking. I'm just trying to
generally. Okay,
generally. I respect the office and I respect the order. Now, like I said, they're lawyers. They're looking at it from a legal perspective. I'm a presidential candidate.
And we always do that.
And I respect that order. The only problem I said is a political witch hunt. Corruption has eaten so much that, look at the angle we are taking. We are saying if somebody is suspected as a thief or as a looter, if you want to be polite, the person can still remain in the fancy house, keep the bank account, while you go to court. No, I'm saying
it doesn't make sense.
It doesn't make any sense. He's even lenient enough. If I become president, while you're under investigation, you will be in prison. Why? You know what? Nigerians have suffered for so long. Thieves are now being pampered and cared for. You are a suspected thief or a suspected looter. You've stolen money from the public. They call it government money, but it's public money. You can't sit in your fancy house, live the normal life while you go to court. No. So keeping the properties or confiscating the properties of the bank account is even less. The only problem is it should not be used for political opponent alone. I want to see people from the same party going through the same process. But to say no, you still have a right by legal law to your house. In the first place, you have no right to steal the public funds. You are a public thief. You should be in prison and coming to court from prison. If you're found not guilty, of course, that's the law. Wow, we
don't need the Constitution. We need the Constitution. We don't need
this. Is my question. Yeah. Where has the court been all these years when corruption has gone this far? We're talking about court, right? There's nothing wrong with the court. Where have they been? So the president is doing good thing. I don't like it, man. But this that he just did, I give him kudos for it. These guys have been eating our money and lavishing it. Somebody need to shake them up.
Excuse me, please.
Let me pause it there. Yes. Before I come,
they ask the question.
Yes.
Where have the courts been?
Courts been, yeah.
The courts don't go to investigate it.
No.
I have been practicing as a lawyer for 32 years. So any child of 32 years in Nigeria is an adult. The court does not investigate. The court is to adjudicate. Our own system of adjudication in Nigeria is adversarial. It's not inquisitorial. We don't have to, the judges don't go to inquire. If a judge is driving along the road and he sees a man driving to the left and you bring the person before the judge, he will pretend not to have seen that man. That is the system we have inherited from the British. So the courts are doing their duties. But what about the investigators? When you say they are looters or they are thieves, which I don't agree with, because you must prove your case before the judge, and the judge will give judgment. When you do not do thorough investigation, and you rush the case before the court, what do you get? A failure. You look at what is happening now in Turkey over Khashoggi's death. Yeah. You see that if you watch
the events,
Al Jazeera, the events, everything.
Yeah.
Although some people like me who study international law will say, oh, well, Turkey has infringed on the territorial sovereignty of Saudi Arabia, by having listening devices in their embassy. Yeah. To have been able to use cameras to know when the man
entered the embassy, the consulate, yeah.
That embassy is a sovereign territory of Saudi Arabia. But besides that, they are able to prove to the whole world by forensic investigation. Nigeria is the only country in the world where a policeman comes to the court. You ask him, you say this man fired this gun that killed this other man in a murder case. He says yes, he fired the gun. You ask him, were you there when he fired it? He will say no. You ask him, this gun you have brought here, did you take it before a ballistician to check when it was fired last? No. Did you check the kind of bullet that entered the body of the person? No. Do you know the caliber of bullet? No. And you want the judge to sit down and say, convicted. So if you call them looters or you call them anything you want to call them, they are still entitled
to their rights.
To their rights under the Constitution.
Okay, I'll come back to you. I'll come back to you, Dr. Felix. Yeah. I'll come back to you.
I want to confirm what has been submitted by Chief A.B. Thomas. The position of our Nigerian judicial system has done extremely well in the fight against corruption. Cases you bring to court are the cases that are determined. And I know too that corruption cases always constitute the front line
of attention
in the
court. Any date the prosecutor of an anti-crime offense wants is what is given in court. And you have special courts that even try these cases. So we should give kudos to the, but we are talking about the functions or what is inherently wrong with a Nigeria that is almost approaching a failed state. That is the problem we are having. Okay. So the question is this, and I believe that it is time for the National Assembly, all stakeholders, to know that the fight against corruption is a joint one. If we have it, look, if the president has issued an executive order that, oh, you should temporarily forfeit your asset when the investigation is on, please means there can be a legislation that we say
now you're talking.
Have a timeline.
Okay.
You cannot. You
we'll
cannot
open our studio line.
You cannot keep on investigating.
Yeah. Our studio lines are open. Studio lines are open. 052 290 573 052 290 573. That's our studio line. The other number is on the screen. You dial it and let's get your thoughts on it. Gentlemen, we're rounding up now. But Dr. Felix, I'll come back to you. If you have the opportunity to lead this country, you just said if you had your way, these guys will go to jail.
From the prison, they come to court.
They'll go to jail.
Yes, and they'll be going to court for prison.
Okay, now, if you negate the Constitution by your words, by your action, isn't that dictatorship?
It's not dictatorship. Nigeria need a drastic move. What are we talking about? This country is going down the drain. Nigerians are fleeing from their country. The last time I heard, Nigerians were in Haiti. Haiti is the poorest nation on the face of the earth. Nigerians have no business going to Haiti. The only reason we should go to Haiti, we are going to render aid. Let it be said that missionaries left Nigeria to go and give food to Haiti. But Nigerians prefer a poor nation to their country. Why? The country is bad. A lot of things are going on. So right now, it may sound dictatorship. No, it's not. These guys, all of them should be apprehended one at a time. Let it be said, you guys won't have time to cover any other news media. Today, this guy has just been apprehended. The next, many of them, not only that, their passports should be confiscated. You can't fly abroad.
Okay.
You can't leave the country.
All right, we'll have our first caller on the line. Tell us your name, where you're calling from, and then go ahead. Good morning, caller.
Yeah, good morning.
Yes, what's your name and where are you calling from?
Yeah, my name is Sidney. I'm calling from Lagos. I will keep your live program from here.
Okay, thank you.
I greet all of you. It's wonderful to really appreciate all of you.
Thank you.
In the studio.
Thank you.
Well, Nigeria actually is becoming a failed state because for us, for me, we are not serious for this our democracy. Our democracy is becoming a thing of, will I call it a shame to the world. You imagine the government of the day, they are not helping issues at all. Nigeria has become very poor. There's no food for the common people. No food at all for the common people. The government actually is not doing anything to restore hope to the common man. 2019 is fast approaching, and we are calling, we like to say, let's call for a change. Let's call for a change. Let the younger ones, let us come up and call for a change.
All right.
Because Nigeria is not working at all.
All right, thank you. Thank you, caller.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Well, if you're listening to us on radio, 052-290-573, that's the studio number. Please dial it and let's get your thoughts, your views on the discussion today. We'll have our next caller on the line. Please turn down the audio level on your TV or radio set. Turn down the audio level on your TV or radio set. Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning, sir.
Good morning. Please tell us your name and where you're calling from.
This is calling from Epoma.
All right, go ahead, please.
Yes, I only want to make my little contribution by saying that this country is completely in a total mess. It was not as worse as this when just get to the Bible cried and wept. Because I begin to wonder, our legislation, they take huge amount of money, they travel out. Our president and governors, they take huge amount of money, they travel out, and they still want to change in the developed world. And when they return to this place, what we are hearing is the reverse. And I begin to ask the question, was it wrong for God himself to have created Nigeria in the first place? And if God had tried to create this country, and that somebody wants to ruin the country, isn't it right that all of us should come together and think of a possible solution to this crime?
Okay.
You will elect a president, you will not see anything going on that we have currently, and you begin to wonder, what kind of a country is this? In fact,
there are those who will disagree with you when you say you elect a president, you don't have anything going on. That's a subjective statement. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Okay.
Because the fact that the section they have made to carry out, they don't have to do other things. You elect somebody to become a legislator, that's
Take it easy. Take it easy. Take it easy, brother. Take it easy. It's going to get better for sure. All right, let's pursue now so that we can take more calls. Thank you. Thank you. We'll take another call and then we'll be back to the studio here to call it a wrap on the program Politics Today on Independent Television and Radio. Caller, what's your name? You're live on the show. Where are you calling from?
I'm calling from Sapele by Dumais Road.
Okay, Sapele Dumais Road. Just go ahead.
My contribution to that executive order is a very good welcome to them.
It's a good one.
It's a good work.
Okay.
The colleagues, the last man over there said. Because if you are fighting corruption and you say somebody has so much, at the end, the person is enjoying everything. I don't say anything as if they are fighting corruption because it's different.
Yes.
They are not fast enough. They are taking more time. Then you say they will investigate the area. Someone will take up their property. And we all Nigeria, we know that those people are paid. So if they now say the people that should be paid, let them know their property. I don't see anything wrong with that.
All right, thank you. One and only female caller today here. Yeah. Thank you.
Let the corruption be a part of everybody. Let everybody take part in it. I think Nigeria will be happy about it.
All right. Thank you. We'll stop you here now because our time is up. Yes.
So, let me just finish my line of thoughts. I would love to, I can see you sound like a defense attorney, and I'm quite sure one of these guys would love to have you defend them. Probably they can call the show later and have you, come and represent them. But you see, that's from a defense attorney perspective. Now, the political class in Nigeria, it has become for the rich only. Politics is no longer, those in office, they are no longer servants. They have become something you get into to be rich. Do you know that the current Vice President of America, Mike Pence, he was a governor before he was elected, before he was chosen to run with Donald Trump. His salary was about 100 and something thousand a year. His house he lived in is not a mansion. He was still owing mortgage. Obama, before he was elected, he was a senator. And yes, he was still owing school loan. And these are men who serve their nation.
Yeah.
But in Nigeria, look at our senators. Some of them have cars of $500,000 parked. Where are they getting the money from? And you're telling us, when these guys are suspected thieves, leave them to drive their fancy cars, leave them to live in the beautiful houses, come to court, let's defend them.
I'm sure a lot of people would accept this opinion if you talked about amending the sections of the Constitution in the process of getting
the chrono is the Constitution.
Yes, you're not talking
it's
about
higher than the Bible and the Quran.
Anyway,
there's no time to amend nothing now. There's
Bishop Osadolo, one last statement.
That's what we need now.
I think what we should do is to respect our laws, our Constitution.
Okay.
The federal government should respect the Constitution they have sworn to protect.
Okay.
And if things are done according to law, we will have a good country.
By Thomas.
I stand by the rule of law, and anything outside the rule of law, I'm against it.
Okay.
If you feel you need a drastic situation like Dr. said, go back to the binding document that binds all Nigerians. Okay. That is the Constitution. Go and amend it.
Okay.
Yes, let all the organs of government know that the fight against corruption is a collaborative one, and it can only be achieved when there is cooperation among the existing arms of
That's our tailored point on the program today, Politics Today, on Independent Television and Radio. The fight against corruption is collaborative, is cooperative, but we need to, perhaps, like Dr. Felix Nicholas said, look at the Constitution again and see how we can rejig it to make it more drastic, more effective, more efficient in the fight against corruption. Because all along in the war against corruption, one thing that has come out is the evidence that comes forth for such individuals alleged to have been involved in corruption to be prosecuted. After all, we're all aware of a former state governor who was given a clean bill of health while in Nigeria here, but when abroad, and was convicted. That's the situation that we find ourselves. But it's not all bad. Things will definitely turn around if we all find our places in the scheme of things. That's it on Politics Today on Independent Television and Radio. My name is Sonny Duke Okosun. Thank you for staying with us. Big congratulations once again to our highly revered monarch, Monobanedo Ukwa Oba Ewa II, on the 2nd anniversary of your coronation and the book launch in your honor. Have a good weekend, people. Bye for now.